I've written down, and starting from the bottom of these 3 quotes or whatever, I wrote the 3 ways we each do this adjustment. That is because we're, I guess you could say, living in 3-dimensional reality, that we're unable to totally encompass the wholeness of the isness here, and the universal and the natural and the solar realities. And so we have a context and contest and a challenge, if you will, ever ongoing while we're here, and where we reference or put our attention. It's very much the importance with our the 3 keywords: awareness, recognition, and intention. So I wrote the dominion that's being formed is of 3 kinds. 1, the primary social, cultural, human earth indoctrination, Island, and the second, the AI intelligence adjusting media program and alienation grid. That second one being the more recent occupation, although that's been here an equally long time, if you will, if we will recognize it. However, this has been part of the entire recent centuries and millennium that has shown itself to be more worldly recognized, we'll say that. So, especially currently, now it's increased and progressively determinating. So the third reality that we have is this real earth, spelling it URTHE or New Earth, it could be, which is a natural, universal, and IA being intelligent architecture, if you will, of our solar light being and its 5 realms and bodies, and the interconnection with the universal and solar, that is, in the true reality life is, or of, in, as of, it is, and ever will be, talking in some religiously invoked idea, but again, we're not presenting anything in the terms of that kind of occupation of focus or attention, hypnotism, hypnagogic reality, and these other words that might describe that. So for myself, I just wrote at the end the 3 ways we each do this adjustment. And I'm just going to share on those just briefly about my own, which is, as an example, the musical creative is one side, and then the solaristic, which is, in my sense, the so-called astrological, astronomical coordination. That's a physics or universal system, and or attenuation, and if we will, on that. And then the third one is our, I guess you could say, the personal social relation, back to that cultural human identifications and our relationships with all of these, and or within each of these three, you know, our personal, worldly, and we some people call it transcendent or universal part or aspect. So myself, I've found that we have a physical sense and human, that body made up of mostly three parts: the emotion, mind, and body. And we have to constantly work with these because they're being referenced also within the dominion. And we, in order to respond or reflect or share with that, we have to deal with it appropriately or inappropriately if necessary. So I will laugh with that because Val writes, wrote an interesting thing that's a few minutes ago on what he calls the cult. And but the CULT letters, spelling, you know, Val, you could just tell me, or I'm going to go over to your thing and read it. The
yeah, DUANE and Eva wrote that.
All right. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, they're appropriating the cult leader, and you're like the, who is that Korean guy who was in way back? Kim Jong-Ho? No, that's the real Korean. The other one that was in the U.S. That guy about 10, 15, 20 years ago. Anyway, funny cult guy of either Chinese or Korean heritage. So anyway, it says, yeah, the cult, creative, universal, learning totalis. And you're on the cover of TV Guide. It sounds like a maxi series to me. And I'm reading in small print, Sunrise New Trail, right? The man behind it all. That's cool. This is Val. Thank you. It's a beautiful rendition of how to express the three bodies, or whatever words are those, the three fields. And you're working with all three in one here: the natural, the universal, and the individual as well, and your, you know, our interests shared. So it's pretty neat. We're going to be called a cult. You might as well have fun with it. And it's such a funny term because all the ones that are calling cults, or the actual worldly conditioning program control, that's the big cult. Cult, and what's that? Carry the universal, whatever. You know, you're just working with the fun ideas to get them across. So that's you know, really cool. You're the cool man of the cult. As the creative universal learning totalis. Thank you, Val and DUANE and Ava. That's a good way for me to share that part. Okay, so that's pretty much it. It'd be, I guess I'll relate to it just one way with the others here, and those who may be recognizing and realizing and intending some form of their own expressions in each of these three fields, however that might be. You know, we have a national, racial, and sexual identity, which is another set. And the reason I'm speaking about these threes is because the 3 and 3 and 3 is a a key to the numbers in the universe and the universal fields. It's by Tesla, electromagnetic scientist, physics, and yeah, all of these guys like Galileo and Da Vinci and Jesus and whoever Allah was, and then Buddha, Nuda, you know, whatever, they're all having their totalities that they're expressing, or their isness that they're being of to the best of their extent and purposes. So it'd be interesting to see for the others who need to, or I wouldn't say it in that sense, need to, because you don't really have to do anything except for just be of it and with it. However, as one example related for what can be done is something that you shared with me also, Val, the yesterday, today, and that is the kin's domains, which is a, I didn't send it over here, or we haven't sent it over here, but I will, as an example of it's a form of community that is where each individual family sets themselves distinct on a acreage of the basic idea of a hectare, which is 2.5 acres or 1 hectare of land where they're self-sufficient and living naturally. It's not necessarily a community idea, I noticed by reading the what you sent. And that was, I think, very important. It's not communal, and that the idea of that, I have to go to the page to see it. In any case, the kin's domains is that idea. It's not a communal idea where everyone shares everything like the communism. Although I noticed that there's an idea that there's a large number of communities in Russia even that are doing this style. And whether it's communal or it's more of each individual set, let's say a family, lives or is working on the property and or land, and they don't necessarily say, you know, okay, everybody, we're going to make all this food and just share it amongst ourselves, and you know, we're going to survive. And it's different. It's actually a demonstration of how everyone can do this themselves, and it might be a good idea. It's a legacy or a heritage that can be left for the family, so that they'll always have this. And I think in a way this is largely the way that the corporate economic families work. They indulge themselves in a tight operating field of, tight meaning they may have lots of land and or property, but they keep it to themselves or with themselves, and they keep their economy within themselves. And there is a great deal of difference to that. It's not communal either, but more of a monarchy. And that's the model that was also used for the countries and nations, most of them being led by one ruling family or a group of people, and like that, with authoritarian and doministic intent. Okay, so that's how that has been expressed, one of the three in the worldly sense. So we could say la vie, or we can c'est, we say in French, join in with love. And I don't know what that is, c'est la vie. And that's aloha and mahalo, thank you. And DUANE and Ava, thanks very much for helping me put that together too. Bonsoir, mon ami, says Basil. Yes, good one. Okay.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay.
Yeah, there's all kinds of self-sufficient communities around the world. That was the one in Russia you mentioned. I just read one, the Slab City, in Southern California, where there's absolutely no law, but they do not tolerate any kind of crime, but everybody just does what they would do, and it's an old military base in Southern California. Anybody's welcome, but there are certain guidelines, but everybody has their own setup for these communities. I just thought that was interesting. One in Russia.
Anu